special guest with us this evening, Mr. Hunter Lloyd. He is a professor of computer science on the MSU Bozeman campus. Many of us have seen him perform and do some shows. He's fantastic. Science Expo 2013 is excited that he's here to share with you his life story, show you his famous robots, and some of the other things and some of the other inventions that he's been involved in. So without further hesitation, can you please give him a nice Science Expo welcome?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. There's no room back here to walk around, so I'm going to be over here most of the time, unless I'm over there. Okay, good. All right, as he said there, my name's Hunter Lloyd, and I am a robotics engineer. I teach at the computer science department at Montana State University, but I'm actually I teach the robotics classes, so a couple years ago I gave myself the title of robotics engineer. I made it up. I don't know if there really is such a thing, but I have several different jobs, several different things I do that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to bring out a couple of robots. I'm going to show you some pictures of some robots. I'm going to bring out a couple of robots and have some robots do some different tricks and different things for you along the way. But I love going to these kind of things and doing these kind of talks because when I was your age, maybe a little bit older than some of you, like when I was starting college, I was in high school, but even when I was younger, elementary school, 10, 11 years old, I had no idea what engineers do and some of the stuff that I do and the cool stuff that I get to do now. I basically get paid to play with toys now. That's my job. It's a great job to be able to do, so I'm going to share with some of that kind of stuff. So I do that. I guess I should have put my computer on the other side. So I also have a business, a Department of Defense business. We do some work. This is one of the things we've been working on for like the last 8 years. It's the Predator, the unmanned aircraft that's flying around over in Afghanistan and Iraq. And it's in the news a lot lately. I have nothing to do with any of that. I just do some of the technology. Actually, some of the stuff we work with are things that sit on the ground and communicate with the Predator, like little unmanned fence, invisible fence technology, like little things that look like a rock or a tree stump. And they have radar and they have cameras in them, so if somebody walks by, it will pick up movement and then it will use a camera and film that person as they go across. So, and then they will, if they pick somebody up, they beam it up to the Predator, and then the Predator will beam it off to a satellite, and then the satellite can beam it back to Bozeman or wherever. So somebody walking around in China can be picked up by a rock, and somebody in Bozeman can be watching them. I'm not sure where to go with that. It works. But the other thing I do, the other reason I like to do this is because I do these kind of talks all the time. And as I said, when I was in college, I went to college, and when I was about to be a senior in college, and I was a double major in college, I was a double major in college, accounting and creative writing, which I thought was perfect for each other until I realized creative accounting goes to prison. So I decided to move on to something else, and so I quit college. A senior in college, I quit college, and I went out on the road as a stand-up comedian, traveling around telling jokes, dirty jokes to drunk people. It was a great life. My parents were very proud, by the way. So I went out on the road, and I did for several years, and I got to be on TV, and I got to work with some really, some of you younger kids might not know who this is, but Jerry Seinfeld. I got to work with Jerry Seinfeld. The Bee Movie, he's the voice on the Bee Movie. Okay. I also got to work with Tim Allen. Kids know who that is, right? Santa Claus from the Santa Claus movie. Or the better part, I get to say I opened for Buzz Lightyear. He was Buzz Lightyear. All right, you don't care. Okay. But what I do, the reason I like doing it, what I did, so I was on the road doing comedy, and I was out on the road touring around. And I decided I just couldn't take it anymore. I'd only be home like 3 days every 3 months. So I was really sick of being on the road all the time. So I decided to go back and finish college. And so I went back, but I didn't want to do what I was doing. Accounting, it was boring. No offense if anybody in here is an accountant. But it just wasn't for me, so I decided I took the aptitude test, one of those tests where you go in and they ask you all kinds of questions. They ask you, like, what kind of stuff do you like to do? Do you like to work on roofs? Do you like to work on the ground? Do you like to work with your hands outside? All kinds of questions. And then out the other side, it tells you what you should do, like ballerina or whatever your job. That's not what it told me, by the way. It wasn't. The test had nothing to do with me being a ballerina. That had nothing. So I decided I was going to figure out what I was going to do. So it came out, what this test spit out the other side was, it told me I should be a computer scientist / engineer, which I thought was ridiculous because those kind of people were those nerdy, geeky people that sat in the, in the basement and they never got any sun. The only sun they ever got is the glow from their computer screen. And that wasn't me, I didn't think at all. That wasn't me. I was a football player. I wasn't that kind of person. So now, though, if you fast forward to today, I know that the #1 skill I have for what I do is creativity. As I answered those questions with all the stuff I like to do, the performing on stage, the writing, I had written for some TV at the time, stuff like that. And what came out the other side is it told me I should be an engineer. And now I know my creativity is the #1 skill I have. And so here's an example of that. So when I decided to get off the road from doing college, go back to college, get off the road from doing stand-up comedy, I was used to performing at night, being up all night long, doing the things that comedians do at night, and I wanted to go back to college, and it turns out college starts in the morning, which wasn't good for me at all. I was not good at waking up in the morning. So I would set my alarm, and my alarm would go off, and I'd hit the snooze button, and then 10 minutes later the alarm would go off again, and I'd hit the snooze button, and 10 minutes later, snooze button, and pretty soon it was dinner time, and I was still in bed. So I needed a way to turn on my brain in the morning and get me going. So I invented snooze ball, because I had these new electrical computer science skills, and I still had my my creative side from writing and being out on the road. So I invented snooze ball. And what snooze ball is it's like a Nerf ball that's an alarm clock. And when the alarm goes off, you get to grab it and throw it. And when it hits the wall, it snoozes. So then 10 minutes later, the alarm goes out again, and you got to get out of bed and go find it wherever it is in the room. So I invented snooze ball, and then years later I invented snooze ball 2.0. And snooze ball 2.0 is kind of the same thing, but it's like a little doll. It's a little doll. And when the alarm goes off, you get to reach over and grab the head of that doll and rip the head off, and then throw the head across the room. So you get aggression out and you wake up. And you can't turn it off until you go find the head and put it back onto the body. So the alarm will keep going off. So recently, I got a story about this. So about 6-8 weeks ago, I got a call from the Jay Leno show. Some of you kids might not know, it's a late night TV show that tells jokes and stuff. It's supposed to be funny. But anyway, the Jay Leno show called me, and they wanted to put Snooze Doll on the show because they had heard about it, they thought it was funny, so they wanted to put it on the show. And I was like, okay. And they called me on a Friday, and I was like, and they wanted me to ship it off on Monday. And I said, okay, great. But actually I'd only talked about it. I had never actually built one in real life, so I'd only talked about it in shows. So I ran to Walmart, and I bought a teddy bear, and I cut the head off, and I put the electronics in. The electronics actually do go inside, but I have it out right now so you can see it. I'll put it together. I'll show you it work. See it? But the electronics, it won't let it. So I got it working with Android phones, and iPhones for that matter, but I have an Android right here, because it was going to be on TV, so I didn't need to be able to set the alarm and then wait 60 seconds for the thing to go off. So I had to, so I made it so it will connect, and then you can just push one button so it demos. So I'm going to try it. I just got it back from the Leno show like 2 days ago, and I haven't actually connecting to. Okay, it says head connected, so it's connected to the head. All right, if this works, I'm gonna be surprised. It's been flying all over the world, and I haven't really tested it. So, you take the head off, it's supposed to change to a scream. That's what it's supposed to do, but it didn't actually do that. It says head's on, so it's thinking the head's still on. Huh? It's very confused. It's saying head on, head off, head on, head off, head on, head off. Oh, I lost connection. I don't... I'm going to try to bump it and see if it actually will work. Oh, somehow I turned the camera on the phone. Okay, ready? Here we go. Oh, wait, it's lost connection. It works really well. I'm telling you, it's a great invention. It's still screaming. I'm going to have to do the next 50-minute talk with this thing screaming in the background. No, I can do it. Okay, it's connected. It's totally lost connection. It says, throw it at the wall. Throw it harder. That'll do it. Crush it. Step on it. We'll get it to work. Oh, I seriously cannot turn it off. Okay, I got it off. All right. I didn't think it would really work because it came back and I haven't. But I thought I'd show you what it. So inside the thing, this is a soap dish container that you can buy like a travel one, and I just put the electronics in there, and it's bigger than it needs to be. I've got it shrunk down now. I have it actually working really well on about a 2x2 inch chip now. But this is my first prototype, so I thought I'd bring it out here. Stupid. What in hindsight? But anyway, it's all in there, and it's got a little spring-loaded sensor in there, so when it hits, the spring bounces around, and when it makes the connection, when it bounces, then it snoozes, and it sends a Bluetooth signal back to your phone, and it works with iPhone. I should have brought the iPhone, obviously. No, it's not this part. This part's working fine. It's this part that's... So I did actually try to look into mass producing them because I hate a lot of requests for them, but the electronics are easy. I can get those for cheap. I can do that cheap. Dolls, stuffed animals, you got to buy like 20,000 of them to get a deal, and then you need and they're about $5. It would be like $100,000 in dolls. So if you have a doll and you want to send it to me, I'll cut the head off and put my electronics inside. All right, so that's my problem. I had a problem, I solved it, I created. And I also have several other ones, actually. I have one called Clock-a-Doodle-Doo, which is a little really fast alarm clock, and when the alarm goes off, it sprints around your house, and you got to chase after it and catch it down. I got another one that's a dartboard, and you throw darts at it. If you get a bullseye, you get 10-minute snooze, but if you're a little off, you get 8 minutes or 3 minutes or so on. All right, so I teach at MSU, like I said, but I'd like to point out, I am not a recruiter. I don't recruit students. I'm not out here to recruit students. I do think every one of you should go to college, and you should all get the experience and study engineering, but I'm not telling you to come to MSU and be one of my computer science students at all. But what I did do is I took a picture of some of my students that you would probably, in the lab, they're working in the lab, and so if you did come to MSU and you were a CS student, this is the kind of work and this is the kind of people you'd be working with. So, but I'm not a recruiter. I'm just kidding, by the way. That's not my robot. I'm getting there, I'm getting there. I'm getting requests now, that's nice. Okay, I'm going to skip this because he wants robots, and he wants robots now. This, by the way, though, is a logic problem. When I go into the schools and I talk in schools a lot, I have some different puzzle logic problems that I like talking to them about because it's about problem solving. And so on this one, you have a scale that goes back and forth, and you have 8 balls, and one of the 8 balls is a little bit heavier than the other 7. And so we say, how many times do you need to use this scale to be able to figure out which one of the 8 balls is heavier? And so it's just kind of creative problem solving and trying to see, the least amount of times to use this scale to solve the problem. And I love going in, and what's amazing about this is I talk in front of grown-ups all the time, and in grown-ups, nobody ever solves it. In 3rd graders, they solve it about 50% of the time, which is great about Montana kids. But also 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, they come up with things like, well, it's easy. It's the one with the X. Things like that. So the way you do it, by the way, just so you know, you can do it using the scale twice by putting 3 on that side and 3 on this side and taking 2 and putting it off to the side. Then, if it's one of the 3 or one of these 3, it will tip that way, and you've eliminated the other 3 and the 2 over here. If it's one of the 2 over here, the 6 that are on there will be even, and then you know it's one of these 2, and you can put those 2 out there, and you've done it. If it's one of the 3 that are out here, then you eliminate those 3, you eliminate these 2, you take these 3, put 1 off to the side, and then put 1 on each side. And you can solve it using the scale just twice. You can find out which one's heavier. And I always get kids saying stuff like, well, just hold them and stuff. You can't tell. They're too close if you're just holding them. But I do get really clever answers like, put them all on one side of the scale and then jump on the other side. And when they hit you in the face, the one that hurts the most is... But I did have a 4th grader that solved it, and I haven't tested it, but I'm pretty sure it would work. He said, a 4th grader, never seen it before, came up with a way to solve this using the scale 1 time. So what he said is you put 4 on each side, but you evenly disperse them out. So if the heavy one's on the outside, it'll go down faster. If it's on the inside, it'll go down slower. So just by using the scale once, if you know the ratio there, you'd be able to solve it. A 4th grader came up with that. So I gave him a scholarship. And he's in my class now. So, go. I just like animations. Skip that. Okay, this is another one. Similar kind of solving. I'll just say it real fast. You got 30 minutes to snow blow the driveway. It takes 30 minutes to snow blow the driveway. It takes 30 minutes to take down the Christmas lights. My wife tells me I have to do both of them. I have a football game that starts in 30 minutes, and I have to get both these chores done. Creative problem solving, what would you do? And I heard somebody say, hire a kid. I already heard that one, which obviously you're not married. My wife wouldn't let that happen, but you can just yell it out because I can't see hands right now. All right, never mind. Hire a robot. That would be a good one. Hire a robot. Quit the TV. Tape. I heard tape. All right. I'll just show you what I did. I just tied the end of the lights onto this was actually an accident, and I thought it was really funny, so I took a picture, but my wife didn't think it was quite as funny as I did. You wouldn't believe how fast a snowblower can take the lights down from your house. Just shingles were flying all over the place. All right, robots. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a couple pictures of my robots that are too big to bring in here, and then I'll bring out a couple and show it to you. So this first one is a GPS guided. So a lot of my robots at the university are built for contests. We compete all over the world in different robotics contests, and this one was built for a lawnmower competition where you go to Ohio and they have this humongous field that has all these little lawns drawn into the field, and you have to build a robot that stays within the boundaries. So they give you the GPS coordinates of your land. And GPS, for those of you who don't know, up on top there's a little chip that's talking to satellites. And as it's talking to satellites, you can time how long it takes to talk to these satellites. So if you're closer to this one over here, you can talk to it quicker. And if there's one way over there, it takes longer. And by doing that, you can tell where you are on Earth. So with this lawnmower, you tell it where your coordinates are, and it goes out and talks to the GPS, and it goes out and it's a working lawnmower. Whoever cuts the grass the best wins the contest. So this one goes out and it cuts, it stays within the boundaries. They have flower beds, and you got to make sure you don't run over and cut all the flower beds down and things. They have little kids run by, and you got to make sure you don't run over and kill the kids, things like that. They don't really. I'm just kidding, by the way. They don't use kids, they use cats, so it's okay. It's okay. They use other robots. They don't use cats either. But I just, into my talks, I just try to see how many things I can kill. So that's a cat. We're keeping count. So that's what that one is. This next one, this is at Montana Mule, which is a robot we built for a NASA competition. In the NASA competition, you have this big simulated moon environment, like almost the size of this room. And there's rocks and craters, and you got to get from one area through the rocks and craters to an area designated for mining. Then you mine up as much of the moon dirt as you can. Then you go back through the craters and rocks to an area where you dump. And you dump it all into this big bin. And whoever gets the most dirt in the time limit is the winner. And this robot, if you notice, it's not at NASA. The contest is in NASA at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And it's not there. This one's at the White House because this one, Montana State, was the national champions. Actually world champions. There was 60 teams from around the world, and I like to say we won because Montana kids know how to use duct tape. That's some of those other really bright, smart schools. Some of those other really smart, Carnegie Mellon smart schools and things, they're really good with the theory, but when it comes to turning a wrench, nobody can beat the Montana kids. Something about trying to survive in the cold or something, I don't know, but there was one of them that had this one student had a tube sock. Every time we needed anything, he'd pull out this big old long tube sock. He had everything in there. It was amazing. But we actually had a fire on the back in the electronics the night before the competition. We had a fire on there, and the Montana kids took a laptop and duct taped it to the back of the computer, back of the robot, and we won with a duct tape laptop on the back of the robot. And not only did we win, by the way, we got about 48 pounds, and second place was about 8 pounds. And if you add up all the dirt from all the rest of the teams in the world, we still won. We beat them, we crushed them pretty good. They won $12,000. And another thing we won is we got to go down to Desert Rats. It's in Arizona, and we got to go out into Arizona, and that's where they go out and they live like they're living on the moon. The astronauts, they go out and they act like they're living on the moon for 2 weeks. And they go out there and they drive the moon buggies around, and they don't breathe air, they have the suits on the whole time. So we got to go out and at the last 2 days and put on the suits and drive the dune buggies and act like we were astronauts, and I wrecked one of the dune buggy things. I thought it would go over the rock, turns out no. Gravity's different on Earth. But one of the things that was really cool there was they had robots. They had 3 robots. The Athlete, which is a humongous 6-legged robot, and they had 2 other really cool $5 to $10 million robots, super expensive, fancy robots. And the Athlete, this $10 million robot, was being controlled by a Wii game controller. The other robot was being controlled with an Xbox game controller, and the third one was with a joystick they bought from GameStop. So $30 million of robots are being controlled by $100 worth of game controllers that you guys play with. So next time your parents complain to you about playing too many video games, you can say, I'm training to be an astronaut. Hey, you're welcome. We also have an autonomous submarine competition we go to San Diego and compete in, and it's got to go out and shoot things. But in Montana, it's not real easy to find a place to practice with a submarine. Everything's frozen all winter. So we take it into the pool on campus, and you'd be surprised how fast people will get out of the water when you walk in with electronics. But it's safe. It's all good. This really has nothing to do with robots. I just thought it was funny. It's a roadkill possum they didn't bother picking up before they painted the lines right over the top. But a robot wouldn't do this. See how that works? All right. This is this year's NASA robot that we're going back down with. So last year we competed with this one when we go to Kennedy Space Center. We made the cover of a magazine. This is one of the second largest robotics magazine in the world, and we made the cover of it a couple months ago, so I put it in there. But this one we dig with this. It turns one way and it digs, and it spins the other way and dumps it out. And then it's got all electronics and stuff like that. This one ended up finishing 5th last year. We didn't win last year, but it's coming back this year. We're going to win. That's another robot on the cover of another magazine, and that's me at the Robot Olympics last year, and I'm going again in about 3 weeks. But at the Robot Olympics last year, we won 5 medals at 6 events, and we won more medals than any robot in the world, and there was over 500 robots there, and we won more robots, and so I like to say I was the Michael Phelps of Robotic Olympics last year. I wasn't, though. No, it doesn't deserve that. All right, I'm bringing out real robots. I'm going to show you real robots. All right. So, trying to figure out how I'm going to do this where you're going to see it, but we'll try it. Okay, I did not tape this very good. You probably don't want to hear that with the microphone, do you? Sorry. All right, so this is the first assignment any of my students have to do. I'm going to try it up here, but I might have to put it on the ground so you guys can see it. First assignment my students have to do. If this is a road, and my office is here, and my house is here, and they have to build me a car that I can sleep in the back seat, and they can drive me from my house to my office while I sleep in the back seat, because as I said, I like to sleep a lot. So that's the first assignment they have to be able to do. And I don't know if there's enough light up here to do this, so I might have to bring the lights up a little bit. So they get a robot like this that does this, and I'm going to just show you it work first. Actually, I don't know if it will work because there's not an obsessed. Oh, it might work. So right now it's going around, and for those of you that, whoops, all right, I got to throw it on the ground, so you can see it on the ground there. I'll tell you how it works as it goes. So hopefully it's not going to fall off the front of the stage. Oh, I've got too many wrinkles in the tape. I forgot my paper at home, so right before I came here, I ran to a store and bought this tape, and I bought electrical tape. Go! There, we'll start it over. So I'm sleeping in the back seat and it's driving me. So what it's doing, it's cheap. I need a microphone. All right, so what I'm doing is on the front here we got 2 little light sensors. There's 2 little light sensors. They're kind of hard to see, but they're just little black things. And they have their own light. They got their own light source and they're shooting out light. And then you have a sensor that's reading the light. I don't know why there's a wrinkle right there. All right, watch this. Ha, I just thought of something. I got a Lego one. A lot of you know what the Lego ones are, so. We'll do it again. All right, so it's got 2 light sensors down there. And as long as both light sensors are on black, when I test it out, when I first run it, right now when I start it, when I put it on white, they read about 35, very low amount. When I put it on the black, they jump up to 950. So all you have to say is, if your sensors are above 500, drive straight. And as soon as one of them drops below 500 and goes down to the 30, then it's on white, and you know, oh, I got to turn toward the one that's still black. So we turn toward that one, and then if this one drops, then we just turn, and we just go back and forth. It's kind of like in the summertime when you go outside. If you have a black t-shirt on in the summertime and it's hot, do you get hotter or colder? Hotter, because it's absorbing all that sun, and that's the same thing. This light is being absorbed into the black, so the sensor gets more of a higher reading. When it's on the white, it's being reflected out, and it's got a lower reading. So there's only a few lines of code to be able to do that. So anybody see a problem with that while I'm sleeping in the back seat? My car's driving me to work? No problems? All right, you guys. other cars. A school bus. For some reason kids really like it when I run over a school bus. I'm not sure. All right, so I told my students that. I can't see my, okay. It's really hard to see up here. All right. So let's say you're stuck in traffic, and this is traffic, Los Angeles, California. Traffic's really bad in California. So you got all this traffic, you got a school bus, you got a couple of cars. I probably have another car around here someplace. And you come up behind it. Then it moves. Oh, you gotta turn it on. See how impressive that is? It died. My robot is dead. Hey. I'm not sure if you're clapping because the robot's dead. I don't know. That doesn't seem right to me for some reason. It's all right. I'll show you another one. So normally this is Krusty, and I like showing Krusty. He's an old one, and I like to show it, and I should have tested it before. I didn't use it this morning. I did another talk at noon today to 700 people back in Bozeman. So I didn't use Krusty in that one, though. But I like bringing Krusty out because Krusty was one of the first ones we did way back when. And let me turn him off here because he's not moving. But anyway, the reason I like using him is because one of the first ones we did with interdisciplinary work. So mechanical engineer came along and designed these legs. And so this thing will get up and it'll walk just like a spider across the room. And each leg has 3 motors. So there's 12 motors for the 4 wheels. And then the computer scientist came along and made it smart so it will walk normally. It's not right now. But it's interdisciplinary. Mechanical engineers are working with computer scientists and they're making a really cool robot. So a mechanical engineer works with springs and pulleys and gears and bolts and nuts and stuff like that. And then a computer scientist comes along and makes it smart. But if you go to the Toy Hall of Fame, the #1 toy at the Toy Hall of Fame was invented by a mechanical engineer. Anybody know what that is? Slinky? It's a Slinky. Very good. How did you know that? He said, I've seen you before. That happened to me last week, too. I did a talk at the Museum of the Rockies, and I went, somebody yelled, Slinky, and I was like, wow, how'd you know that? I've seen you like 8 times. Ouch. Anyway, it's a Slinky. So this is the story of how this guy invented the Slinky. So he had this box. This guy had a box, and he had nuts and bolts and springs and things like that. He was working as a mechanical engineer in this big manufacturing plant. So he was walking along carrying this box of all this stuff, and he was looking at a spring that was in there, and that spring was bouncing around as he was walking. He was watching it bounce. And he wasn't paying attention, and when he got to the top of the stairs, he tripped. And as he's falling down the stairs, he looked next to him and said, hey, that's neat. And then when he got to the bottom, he died. But another guy across the room saw the whole thing and invented the Slinky. Okay, I might have made that up. I made that up. It was a mechanical engineer, though, did invent the Slinky, and he was working as a mechanical engineer, but he didn't die. Some people are disappointed when I said that. I heard a bunch of, aw. All right. All right, this is Bubbles. Yeah, Bubbles. So Krusty was the one that broke, that didn't work there. And the first one was, most people, like my daughter, I have a 7-year-old daughter, and we have this ritual when we invent a cool robot, she comes in and names it. So most people have robots named like Killer and Tank and Crusher. Mine are Puddles and Piddles and Bubbles, and But that's okay. All right. Bubbles, I need a part for Bubbles here. Where am I? Oh, here we go. Probably don't need that mic. So Bubbles is named after a dolphin at SeaWorld. The dolphin at SeaWorld, there was a dolphin at SeaWorld, and my family, we recently got to go to SeaWorld. And the dolphin, come on, you can do it. The dolphin at SeaWorld swam across the pool, jumped up in the air, and popped the balloon the trainer was holding. And my kids were like, wow, that is neat. I want one of those. So I said, great. So I went home and I dug a big hole in the backyard and threw a dolphin in there. Turns out dolphins need salt water, so the first one died. But I just needed to kill something else, actually. I built a robot to do the exact same thing. So Bubbles here is going to swim across the table, jump up in the air, pop the balloon, and hopefully land back on the table and not fall off, because that's a long ways down on that side, or you might see me cry. Bubbles talks. Oh, he's not going to fall. Okay. Bubbles talks, but he's kind of hard to hear right now. But I'm going to hold the microphone up there, but I'll tell you what he's saying. He's got an iPhone speaker on the back here that I wired up to have him talk. So he said, hello, Hunter, what would you like to do today? Balloon pop. And then he said, who are these people? So he said he's going to jump up, pop the balloon just like the dolphin. Lower. Yes, if there's any single lady robots here. He was bored. He was proud of himself. All right, so that's Bubbles. So recently I had to do a talk. Oops. So recently I had to do a talk about the book Fahrenheit 451. And in that book, Fahrenheit 451, for those of you that don't know, a lot of you probably don't know, you're not allowed to have books. They have firemen that will go out and search. And if they find out you have books, they will burn your house down. So in that book, you're not allowed. They don't want the people to be smart. So in the book, the firemen have a mechanical hound, this ferocious beast that will go out and search out and sniff out books. And when it finds books, it will attack and it will kill and crush. And so I had to do this talk on the technology in that book. So I built my own mechanical hound. Mean, ferocious mechanical hound. So he heard a book slam, and then he goes after it. Normally he would be turning around right now. This table's not slick enough for him, I guess. He can't actually walk on this table. So every time he sees my hand that has a book on it, he becomes a dog with worms. All right. Start him over. Oops. Okay, I'm going to start him over. All right, so he's sleeping. This is when he's going to get mean. He's fierce. Ready? So he hears a book slam. Then he smells a book on my hand.
am ready to begin. Dot.
Oh! Puddles just broke. I'm having a bad. Okay. Hopefully Looney's going to do good. All right, this is Looney. If you didn't hear, this is Looney. I'm going to try to microphone him. He hasn't started talking yet. You haven't missed anything yet. Okay, I'm going to have Looney stand up and introduce himself to you.
Intro.
And I just thought of something. In his intro, he's going to say, "Welcome to Montana State University." But he forgets to say the Billings part because I programmed him for my noon o'clock talk, and I meant to reprogram him when I got here and change that. So ignore that part.
Intro. Loading.
My noon o'clock talk. Noon o'clock is a scientific term for 12, by the way.
Ready. Just a minute. I need to stretch. Hello, my new human friends. My name is Looney the Robot. Thank you for visiting us at Montana State University.
Billings.
Let me take a look at you. What a nice looking pod of humans. Especially this person over here. I would like to give you a big hand for deciding to go to college.
I'm just assuming you're all going to college.
Now I will tell you about myself. I am a now humanoid robot. I have lots of bright, shiny lights. They are on my eyes, head, chest, and feet. See them go on and off. Children love this. I have 2 cameras on my face. And 4 distance finders on my chest. I have touch sensors on my feet, hands, and on top of my head.
He's changing languages. It takes a second.
Bonjour, je parle français. I speak several languages. That was French. It's a country in Europe known for French fries. And also poodles. French poodles. Get it? One of my favorite things to do is play soccer with my robot friends. I am the standard platform for the International Robot Cup, a soccer tournament that has robot players from all over the world. Here's another fact about me. I am a social butterfly. I have over 600 followers on Facebook. You can friend me on Facebook. Look for Looney, the robot. I also have a YouTube page with lots of videos and a Twitter account. Behavior selector has been terminated. Bye. I tweet.
Ignore that.
This is how you spell Looney. L-O-O-N-E-Y. I am almost done. Before I go away, I will leave you with a song.
See if he does it. And drive away.
Facebook. Goodbye.
But you can see what he sees. That's his camera right there, his camera view. He's got two cameras on his face there. So there's one, and it's not his eyeballs. It's actually a little dot here and a little dot down by his mouth that are his cameras. And then his eyeballs are actually, and usually when I put this up at a school, I have to take it down pretty quick because everybody starts waiting. Look, I'm on a robot. So for some reason, in the middle of that, if you heard that, he shut one of his programs off, which I need. But luckily, as you can see, I'm connected to him.
Hello, I am Looney. I am ready to begin. Dot.
All right.
They're unsure Buffy behavior.
So, all right, back up with the lights a little bit there. I'm going to go away from him. I'm going to take his camera away. So his camera, his eyes are actually not a camera. His eyes are actually like IR sensors, like on the remote control for your TV. So I can say, he has voice recognition on it too. So I can say ESPN, and he will change my TV to channel 206, which my wife just loves, by the way. So this is his stroller. This is how I push him around. And I've traveled all over the world with him, and I get to push him in a stroller through the airports, which get a lot of very strange looks, by the way. But I have him do face recognition, so when he sees a human face, he will wave and say hello. So people in the airport will walk up and say, oh, it's a baby. And then it says, hello, human. And people freak out a little bit over that. But people get attached to him. So then when I get on the airplane, I can just fold this up and it goes underneath just like a normal baby carriage, and then I get to carry him on and I don't have to deal with baggage handlers throwing him around and stuff. So then I just take him onto the plane and turn him off and put him in the overhead bin, and then people think I'm doing child abuse because they get a little attached. So people are always saying, oh, I got a seat over here. Let him sit over here next to me. So I have a picture of him in first class while I'm in the back in coach. He rode first class San Diego to Salt Lake City once without me. All right, so when I travel with him on the airports and stuff, when I travel with him, the TSA, security at airports, always want to know, what is this thing? What is it? So I wrote a program just for the security. So this is the airport security program. So I'm going to have to hold that. So this is airport security. So this is what I do with the airport when I go through security.
Is it okay if I stand up?
So he said, is it okay if I stand up? And he's waiting for me to say yes, because he has voice recognition. Yes.
Hello, human airport security person. My name is Looney, the robot. Am I in trouble?
No. No.
That was close.
So as you notice, there was kids yelling, yes, yes. So kids always want to know, what happens if he says yes? So I have it loop back around and do it again.
My name is Looney, the robot. Am I in trouble?
Yes. Yes.
You will never catch me. I am exhausted. I am sure I lost them.
I really hope he doesn't fall off the floor. You will see me cry. So these are, so I have 8 of these at the university, and then Looney is the 9th one. And they do play soccer. We play 4-on-4 soccer at the university, and they kick, and they play goalie, and they do all the things. They don't pass very often, they're ball hogs, but they do play soccer. Some of the medals, like some of the stuff we're competing in a couple weeks at the Robot Olympics, he plays basketball. He won a gold medal in 3-point shooting. He won a gold medal in penalty kick in soccer, or he didn't win the gold in that one, but he won a medal in that. He won obstacle course, and I can't even think of weightlifting, because he actually broke a world record in weightlifting. And it's not just weightlifting, it's you have to bring up the weights to your waist, and then walk forward to a line, and then you have to stop on that line, and he has to do this all himself. And then you raise the weights above your head, and then you have to walk forward to the next line and stop, and then he drops them and he flexes, and then he walks backwards to the first line again, and that was the weightlifting one. And so he broke a world record, he did the most, and then this gigantic beast from South Korea showed up and broke the world record. So he had a world record for about 22 seconds, and then he lost it. But that's okay. He will never beat that one. That robot from South Korea, it's way too straight. It's metal, plastic, not good, not strong enough. All right, so my time is almost up. So before I go, I'm going to have him do one more last one for you that everybody always wants to see. And so for some of you, I'm going to apologize right now.
Recap. Intro. Dot. The rest showing off behavior. Dance.
Okay, he's going to do a dance for you. It's very short, and I apologize now. I'm really, all right.
Dance. Loading.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
Thank you, good night.